So today we try to see greenhouse effect. Now greenhouse effect, what it is, how it takes place, that we try to study. What are the advantages, disadvantages, what are the different gases which are responsible for greenhouse effect, that we try to study. Okay. So in details we try to see. Now greenhouse effect, we know that it is nothing but the phenomenon in which the solar radiation that are trapped within the earth atmosphere, जो कुछ सोलर रेडिएशन होते हैं वो अर्थ एटमॉस्फेयर में ट्रैप होते हैं, and thus due to which the global earth temperature or atmospheric temperature increases. So this phenomenon that we call it as greenhouse effect. In the diagram you can see here, or the picture you can see here, the solar radiation is coming from the sun that passes through our earth atmosphere. Our atmosphere consists of different gases: oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, NO2, N2O, methane, etc. So these gases, they absorb the solar radiation to some extent. When it falls on the earth's surface also absorbs some radiation, and thus it becomes warm. Some of the radiation that get reflected reverse back into atmosphere, while again some radiations, here you can see it get reflected back to earth's surface, while some of the radiation get reflected back from atmosphere. Also some of the radiation get escape into space. Okay, so in that way the reflection of different solar radiations takes place. Some part of the radiation get reflected, some part of the radiation get reversed back into space, some it is absorbed in earth atmosphere, and some radiation it is absorbed by the earth. This is because of which the earth atmosphere becomes hot, or earth temperature increases, atmospheric temperature increases. So this phenomenon that we call it as greenhouse. Now why it is called as greenhouse effect? So here we can see it's just like the greenhouse that you mainly observed in field or farms. Same purpose is here. The purpose of greenhouse in farm is that to absorb the solar radiation or trap the solar radiation within that greenhouse, so that the crop should get maximum sunlight, optimum temperature which is required to the crops. So you can see here, so there is a greenhouse and the plants are grown in greenhouse. So that is the reason why the greenhouse is used. Okay, the greenhouse is also responsible to maintain optimum temperature on earth's surface, is because of which the normal temperature is maintained. Now we try to see what are the different gases which are responsible to cause a greenhouse effect. The different gases which are responsible to cause greenhouse effect, that are: one, it is water vapor, then CO2, then it is N2O, it is nitrous oxide, then chlorofluorocarbons, hydrochlorofluorocarbons or hydrofluorocarbons, etc. So we try to see the different sources as well. The sources of CO2, it is fossil fuel. The fuel, basically CO2 it is obtained by the combustion of fuel in IC engine, different factories. CO2 emission may take place. Okay, so this CO2 is emitted from by burning fossil fuel. Also the deforestation may be also one of the cause, because the plants, they can absorb the solar radiation as well as CO2 from atmosphere. So is because of which the CO2 emission can be minimized. But if the plant that are cut down, deforestation takes place, the more will be the CO2 present in atmosphere. Then the second, it is N2O, it is nitrous oxide. The different sources for N2O, it is fertilizers, livestock, waste, etc. Plants or animals, basically fertilizers, it can be. The another source, it is methane. Methane, it is mainly produced by burning or decomposition of organic waste such as livestock, wetland, fossil fuels. From the fuel also, during petroleum refining also, there is a methane emission may take place, etc. Another is chlorofluorocarbons or HFCs. So these both can be obtained from aerosols, refrigerants and solvents, or air conditioner or refrigerants, etc. The water vapors that we know, there are different water sources such as lake, sea, then rivers, etc. These can releases water vapor into atmosphere. Okay, the next, the percentage of this greenhouse effect estimated in 2018, it was near about. So this is overall greenhouse gas emission in 2018. Carbon dioxide, it was 81%, methane, it was near about 10%, nitrous oxide, it is 7%, and fluorinated gases, that is about 3%. There are two types of greenhouse effect occurs. One, it is natural greenhouse effect and human enhanced greenhouse effect. In natural greenhouse effect, you can observe in first figure or diagram, the greenhouse belt is very thin in size, so that is why a less amount of solar radiation can be absorbed within the earth atmosphere, is because of which the global temperature will not increase or earth temperature will not increase to great extent. But in case of human enhanced greenhouse effect, here you can see the greenhouse belt or greenhouse gas belt, it is so large, thick, so that the more number of solar radiation will get trapped within the earth atmosphere, and thus more heating of the earth atmosphere takes place. Is because of which the global earth temperature increases to great extent. So that phenomenon, that we call it as global warming. So global warming is mainly caused due to greenhouse effect. Okay, now what is global warming? It is nothing but the gradual increase in the earth temperature due to absorption of solar radiation by greenhouse gases such as CO2, N2O or CFCs, HFCs, and another pollutants, that we call it as global warming. Okay, so it is nothing but tremendous increase in earth atmospheric temperature, so that we call it as global warming. Okay, so this is also mainly takes place due to greenhouse effect. Now these are two pictures basically, which represent the natural conditions which are maintained on earth's surface, and what will be the conditions after greenhouse effect. So there will be desertification may take place due to greenhouse effect. In natural conditions, you will find everything will be in proper way. So advantages of greenhouse effect that we try to study. The advantages, it maintain optimum temperature on earth surface, that is first advantage, कि जो कुछ अर्थ का टेम्परेचर है वो मेंटेन रहेगा, ज़्यादा बढ़ेगा नहीं, और ऑप्टिमम टेम्परेचर मेंटेन हो रहना चाहिए, मेंटेन रहेगा, क्योंकि ऑल द लिविंग थिंग प्रोसेस जो चल रहे हैं उनको कैरी आउट करने के लिए ऑप्टिमम टेम्परेचर ज़रूरी है. ओके, सो दैट इज़ मेंटेन बाय ग्रीनहाउस इफेक्ट. Greenhouse gases act as a filter to avoid harmful radiation to enter into atmosphere, also bounce back maximum solar radiation into space. तो रेडिएशंस एक तो फिल्टर करता है, मैक्सिमम सोलर रेडिएशंस बाउंस बैक होता है, कुछ बाउंस बैक होता है, कुछ एब्सॉर्ब होता है. In that way it minimizes the solar radiation coming on earth surface. The ozone layer also filters the UV radiation which is coming from the sun, and it also helps in maintaining water level on earth surface. Okay, so these are some advantages. Now disadvantages of greenhouse effect that we try to see. So one of the disadvantages, that is global warming. It is one of the disadvantages of greenhouse effect. Then melting of polar ice and glaciers, that is also one of the disadvantage, क्योंकि ड्यू टू ग्लोबल वार्मिंग टेम्परेचर बढ़ेगा तो जो कुछ भी पोलर रीजन का आइस होगा या ग्लेशियर्स होंगे वो मेल्ट होगा, स्टार्ट होगा. इस बिकॉज ऑफ विच क्या होगा, तो देर इज इंक्रीज इन वाटर लेवल ऑफ सी एंड ओशन. जो कुछ भी समुद्र है और महासागर है उनका वाटर लेवल जो है बढ़ जाएगा. ओके, देन there will be change in climate takes place. The climatical conditions will change due to global warming. Desertification will also takes place. Desert होगा, ज़मीन it will lose its moisture and there may be formation of deserts takes place. वो भी हो सकता है. Imbalance of ecosystem, the ecosystem का जो है imbalance होगा. Ecosystem will not work properly. All the life cycles they will change. Then affect agricultural production or productivity will affect, because as I see desertification will take place, that will affect the agriculture as well. Then affect human health भी affect करेगा, animals भी affect हो गए is because of greenhouse effect. The last point, that is how to minimize greenhouse effect gases emission. The different ways to minimize greenhouse gases emission is that by using energy efficient products. So we should use energy efficient products which minimize the energy consumption by using less heat and air conditioning equipments, because air conditioner or heating equipments they use CFCs or HCFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbons or hydrofluorocarbons. So thus by minimizing that also we can minimize emission of greenhouse gases by applying reduce or reuse or recycle policy. The product that we use, if we try to minimize the consumption, if possible try to reuse, if possible try to recycle, so that will minimize the natural resources consumption, which ultimately leads to global warming or emission of greenhouse gases. Then saving electricity, that will also help in minimizing greenhouse effect, because the electricity is produced by burning fuel. So if the electricity is consumed, less will be the electricity requirement, more less will be the consumption of fuel. Drive less and drive smart. So one of the major source of CO2 it is consumption of fuel. So if we drive less, less will be the fuel consumption takes place. We can switch to sharing your vehicles by using a public transport system, and by using smart drive, by maintaining optimum speed, the fuel consumption will be less. Then saving water, that is also one point we can say. And by the ultimately the last that is planting more trees. If you plant more trees, the trees will clear the atmosphere, it absorbs the the harmful pollutants, it acts as a filter, it minimizes noise pollution, as well as it absorbs the CO2 from atmosphere, which is a greenhouse causing gas. It maintains soil nourishment, it avoids soil corrosion, it avoids atmospheric pollution. So this planting more trees is the best policy. So that is all about greenhouse effect. Thanks for watching this.